Well, we're holding ready by Yom HaKadosh, getting ready for Yom Kippurim. So it's Mordecai Meiser, Yaakov Galinsky, he was in Far Rockaway, famous Meiser, and some Gvir was very impressed how he spoke, and he got an invitation to come to him, Matzah Shabbos. Galinsky says, me invited to a Gvir, that was already a Chiddush, usually try to get into the Gvir. Well, he comes to the Gvir's house. On the table is a bank statement. He sits down, he sees a bank statement for $11 million. The Gvir says, Shalbracha, Rabbi, Shkoyach. Listen, I have a son. Now, my son is Rahman al engaged to marry a shiksa. Rabbi, I pleaded with him, I begged him, I threatened him, to no avail. He wants to marry the shiksa. If you can convince my son not to marry the shiksa, I'm going to give you half of this money, $5.5 million. Yaakov Galinsky says, Popkis. Popkis, this is pennies to him. Wow. Now the Gvir already looked at he looked at the Rabbi Galinsky as being new respect. He must be a multimillionaire. This is Popkis. So, Rabbi, where'd you get your money from? Galinsky said, look, you know, your son, if I convince him to not marry this shiksa, who's he going to marry? Well, okay, he won't marry a shiksa, he's going to marry another Jewish girl. Who's he going to marry? Somebody's going to be somewhat similar to him. Also someone who's ready, Khalila, to take the step. Okay, we'll get them together. You know, that's worth for you $5.5 million. You shouldn't marry a shiksa. My children are married, not to those type of people. I'm married. I'm a multimillionaire. I'm a multimillionaire. Can I borrow your phone, please? He gets his phone, calls up his wife. He forgot there's a 7-hour difference, so she was right in the middle of the night. We're millionaires, multimillionaires. We have children, Yidden. This guy's willing to pay $5.5 million to his son to marry a Jewish girl. What he's going to have out of it? What we call Yiddish Nachas. We have Yiddish Nachas. We're millions. Mordecai, story, what's it tell us? We don't appreciate who we are. If we just think, $5 million not to marry a shiksa. What you going to get? We do mitzvahs. We live with Hashem. If we appreciate who we are, what we understand, who really we are, that's the first step of tshuva. Tshuva is to realize, I'm not just a nobody, I did an Aveira, who cares? I do, what do you mean? We're Tahirim Kedoshim, and if we do Chalila do an Aveira, it sullies us, it dirties us, we're pristine people, pure people, Chashuvim. Much of our problem is, again, we don't have the reality in front of us. Now, Chofetz Chaim, it's amazing. Chofetz Chaim was a Yid, and Rabbi Elchanan was there with the other Yidden when they took out the Dibuk. So, one of the parts of the conversation with the Dibuk was, if you heard of the Chofetz Chaim, of course you heard of him. He says, in Shemaim is considered like a Tana. And he said, well, what's his chashivas to the Chofetz Chaim? We all think Lashon Hara, Hasmada, his learning was unbelievable. His dveikus in Torah, every second. Now, this boggles my mind. Many people say over this story that they witnessed. There's a famous story that was said over by Chofetz Chaim's grandson, B'Shem Yeruchim. Yeruchim followed the Chofetz Chaim once. He snuck out of the Bismedrish. Yeruchim wanted to where he was going, and he followed him. Went to his house. He went in. He went to the attic. Yeruchim put his ear to the door. He went to what the Chofetz Chaim's doing. It was Simchas Torah. So the Chofetz Chaim starts. Now this takes 3 hours. I'm going to do it in a couple of minutes, hopefully less. But the Chofetz Chaim, the man who wouldn't waste a second of his life, starts talking to himself. He said, you're already 60 years old. What are you going to do, tshuva? Then he progressed 10 more years, going fast. He's already 70. So Meir, you're 70. When are you going to do tshuva? Then he progressed to 80, and he hears him. 80 years old? No, when are you going to do tshuva already? Then he envisions himself at 90. And 95, the man is talking to himself. You can hear it. Chofetz Chaim was a very good actor. He's putting himself. You're lying in bed. You're nishkin kaiches. Excuse me. You're feeble. No, you're not eating. You're weak. And people hovering around you. And already now it's coming. The people saying, "Elept, is he still alive? Is he still breathing? What?" And finally, though, you'd see his neshama. He was very graphic. The descriptions. He was realist. He saw the people crying, and they made a levaya with the haspedim, and people took him to the kever. He's viewing himself being taken into the kever, putting lowered into the ground, and then the clumps of earth coming on top of him. Finally, in the stimus hagoylel, and everybody, the last few people, they're still crying, and as they leave, he's left alone. And then he sees the malachim coming. So Meir, give him an elevator ride to Shemayim. He comes to the Beis Din HaGadol, the chamber. He says, you hear, play Chayevs, get it! Chofetz Chaim is all bringing this all out. He's standing there in great trepidation until finally he hears his name summoned. Yisrael Meir Ledin. He comes to the din, he's shaking, he's quivering. He sees these huge scales, and they say, come, the mitzvahs, I'll come in. Chofetz Chaim looks up. He wasn't naive. He saw the mitzvahs, his life. Torah, Avodah, Sfarim, everything. He could see them all piling up. I felt great. They started feeling good. Look at all the mitzvah, saying, oh man, you'd learn Torah, every word of Torah, every chesed, all this Sfarim. He's feeling good. No, finally he says, now they say the Averas. He starts to look, and he's pachad. He sees this crippled malachim coming, and they're starting to stand on the other side of the scales. And the scale's moving. It's moving. It's moving. Finally, it's equal. Chofetz Chaim is panicking. He's in terror. Remember, Mavi Rishon, but then he hears a malach screaming out, Elept says tight, is he alive or is he dead? And he hears them say, Elept is alive! He's alive, he's a Rasha, he's not doing tshuva! And then Yebiruchim faints. Now this story took 3 hours. He did this many times. There was the Chofetz Chaim, Heilige Chofetz Chaim, who every second was precious. He would take time to graphically describe the whole picture. The imagination was vivid. He's just Mekayim Gemara. The person should always view himself as Chatzi Zaki, Zakai, Chatzi Chayev. Half. And you do an Avera or Mitzvah, you take the world with you. The world. You take the whole world. The Achrayas of a Yid. And he took it in vividly, graphically. He made it real. That's what he did in Moed Kazach. A person can get to understand the reality. The problem is we don't have time. In a few minutes we can't even give ourselves the realistic time on this matter. So we have to come up with a plan, Bezos Hashem, something that can make it and that could be a gewaltige inspiration, a gewaltige chizuk. And more than that, that's a value a person on himself, to understand his chashivas. And every mitzvah, what it means, every mitzvah, everything a person puts in investment, and nothing ever goes to waste. That's more difficult to remember that. People give up, I tried, and you don't. You have to keep trying. There's a more difficult also. He said he came to a minyan in Tel Aviv. There was only 9 people, and they're looking for a minyan, so he came looking. We're going to find a tent. He goes next door, he sees a Jew there. No, you're the 10th. We need you for minyan. He said, I have a store, I can't close. When you daven mincha, daven ma'ariv twice, what can I do? But there's nobody here. Okay, I'll pay 50 shekel if you come. 50 shekel, okay, that's worth it. Close the store, go daven mincha. Afterwards, Yaakov gives him the 50. He says, I'm not taking it. I'm not taking any money for a mitzvah. He says, what do you mean? No, I'm not taking any money for a mitzvah. So Yaakov says, okay, so we have to say Shmuz. Hashem chesed mas l'mishal ish k'masei. Because Baruch, it's a pasuk in Tehillim. Hashem is a chesed. You pay a person according to what he does. That's chesed. Person did something, Hashem made rules. You do something, you get paid. So if you do a mitzvah, you get paid. That's not chesed. What's pshat chesed? It's like Yaakov Galinsky. A person goes up to Shemaim after 120 years. Everything comes with him. There's every amen is a zillion dollars. I mean, Olam Haba, a sniff is worth more than Olam Hazeh. So you get Olam Haba for saying amen? Yeah, okay. So imagine how much packed we are when we go upstairs. The little mitzvahs to do. Yisrael is a Kabbalah mitzvahs like a remind. Just anyway, so that's good. But that's only if you go daven. This guy wouldn't go to daven minyan because he's going to lose 50 shekel. 1 second, so how much is mincha worth? 50 shekel, he wouldn't go for the minyan. That means his whole mincha. How much is Amen now worth already? Oh well, it just plummeted. All of that schar, all those mitzvahs, they're much less value now. Poor fellow sitting there, his face is ashen. So Yaakov said, but when it comes to the time that you come and you show, here you could have got paid for doing the minyan. Yeah, pay you 50 shekel. I'm not taking money. I don't care how much you're going to pay me. I'm not taking a penny. It's endless. It's eternal. Oh, it is worth it to you. Now you're going to get paid all the other times. Like that Maisa you showed was really worth. We have the Yitzhara, it stops us, but it showed us one time that it was worth it for us. That's the Maila. That's what he says also. There's a Yid that stopped going to shul, and his son-in-law went to the Rebbe, I forgot which Rebbe. And he said, Rebbe didn't believe it. He said, he called the man in. He said, you don't go to shul? He says, yeah, I don't go to shul. What do you mean? So it's a chutzpah. I stand before Baruch Hashem, my mind goes wandering all over the place. How can I stand? It's a chutzpah. So the Rebbe said, okay, pasuk in Pei Zayin and Tilim. It says, Hashem, Yispar b'ksoi v'amim, ze yulad shom sela. Hashem, what does that mean? Hashem Yispar b'ksoi v'amim. It says Hashem counts in the numerals of the goyim, because there is no zero in Hebrew. Hashem gives you a check card on your in the davening. What did the guy get? He got a zero. So Hashem has to write zero. Where's zero? In Hebrew, there's no zero. Hashem Yispar b'ksoi v'amim. Hashem counts in the language of the peoples, nations. Ze yulad shom sela. So imagine, mincha you go, didn't have any kavanah. Zero. Ma'ariv, zero. Shachar, zero. Mincha, zero. Ma'ariv, zero. Saves that. All of a sudden, mincha, Erev Shabbos, p'sei shtickle kavanah. Okay, give him a 1. Give him a 1. But that's followed by a bunch of zeros. Wow. 6 zeros. Whoa! 1 tefillah. Because they're yulad shom sela. Now all those are born, come with it. It's a cute word, but it's true. Rishonim, big Rishonim, your tefillah are set aside. You put time in, you invested. It's going to be worth it. When you show that's value to you, then that shows Hashem sees, that is the real you. Then all those times you tried, you get for that too. Person has to have his value. He has to understand the value of his mitzvahs that he puts in investments. But more than that, we want to maintain it. We want to keep it going. We want to be able to continue. We want to make that change that's going to change our lives and to give us the madregas that we can steig for and grow weiter. There's a key. There's a way to do it. As Moedik Azach, I spoke to a friend at Zeichat Tzadik Livrocha, his son, told me, Moedik Azach, Brandon was Nervoyim, his the chesed, the tzidkes, one klein Azach, I know the person that is unfortunately not 100% with it, as they say. He lives in an apartment. Ravena took care of him. He would go to his apartment and take his dirty clothes and wash them. I never heard that. People don't know this. I mean, go into his apartment as a person you never know. Ravena was by the doctor. He gave him his prognosis 4 weeks before his nifta. This cancer, Rahman al-Science, 4 weeks. Ravena sat there nonplussed. The doctor thought he didn't hear him. He says, Rabbi, I'm sorry to tell you, but it's 4 weeks to live. Ravena didn't. He said, fine. He couldn't believe it. He said, when an astronaut goes in a spacesuit, it's very cumbersome, very difficult to wear that suit. The first minute he can get it off, he takes it off. He has to wear it, you have to wear it to live. He has to go in space. I wasn't in an Earth suit, we're confined. But you tell me in 4 weeks I can shed the suit? Unbelievable the way he lived. And his son tells me he wasn't as specific. Bal Kishra and how did he get to where he got? There's so many madrigas and other things. He said he learned Mesilas Yesharim hundreds of times. If we open up the safe from Mesilas Yesharim, it's Mesilas Yesharim. It's a pathway up the right. If we do it one time, if we open up the safer and just see, he says the simple things. Mesilas Yesharim says, I'm telling you, this is simple things everybody knows. We're making it real. So a person, if he does it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, he opens it up, he shows Hashem, this is what I want. We could do it 5 minutes a day, or 10 seconds a day. The fact I come and I open the sefer, and I want to make it that should be a kinyan, that also gives us that chiyus. It just jolts us out of ourself to give us back the focus, that's all. And we can take it on that the worship would give us the Mesilas Yesharim. We can give us this tremendous koyach of Hatzlacha, we should be able to firstly appreciate who we are. We're on this world to accomplish. We get mitzvahs, every amen, every word of Torah. A pasuk comes time to talk to somebody and say, excuse me for 1 minute. He needs a breather. He open up a chumash and learn one pasuk, and then close up and come back and talk. He had to breathe. I thought Torah became his life, his essence. So in a way, if we take that, at least it gives us the shift. And it gives us the value of the mitzvahs that we do, that we put ourselves in, that we all want. That's what we want. Hashem sees that. He'll give us. The person takes on the initiative, and the person should give us, there should be gebenched for Lano, Kol Yisrael, Maxim, Toivish, Nas Gula Vishua.